She staged a breakup with her friends to humiliate me. She smirked. This isn't working out. I told her, I agree. Enjoy your single life. They expected me to beg. Instead, she ended humiliated, abandoned, finished. Hey, Reddit. So, this is one of those stories I never thought I'd be typing out. But here we are. Let's just say my girlfriend thought it'd be funny to put on a show at a party. A show where I was supposed to play the fool. Thing is, she didn't realize I already knew the script, and what went down that night ended up flipping everything on its head. Mandy and I had been together for about 8 months, which is apparently the expiration date for women like her. The first 4 months weren't bad. She was sweet, funny, and had that kind of energy that made nights feel less boring. I won't lie, she was hot and knew it, which sometimes worked in my favor, and other times made her act like she was auditioning for The Bachelor every time we went out. Over time, though, she got hooked on attention like it was a full-time job. Suddenly, everything was about likes and views and content. Me, I'm not that guy. I don't need to post a video every time I eat lunch. I like living my life without pretending I'm on a reality show. Mandy, on the other hand, loved the spotlight. If she walked into a room and nobody noticed, she'd act like the place was broken. By the time our friend Owen's birthday rolled around, things were fine. I guess we weren't fighting, but the spark felt more like static electricity. I figured we just needed some time together. Maybe a trip, or even just a normal date without her friends tagging along. But I didn't expect what I overheard that night. That Friday, I got to Owen's place early. Mandy had said she'd come with me, but around 4 o'clock, she texted that she was running late. She and her friends were still getting ready. Typical. She loved making an entrance like the world stopped spinning until she showed up. By 7, while I was still setting up, I heard voices coming from the small bathroom by the kitchen. The door wasn't shut all the way, and Mandy's laugh carried through like it owned the place. At first, I thought it was just girl talk, but then I caught a few words that made me freeze mid-step. Okay, so I'll say something like this isn't working anymore, and then you guys position yourselves around the room. Mandy's voice chirped like she was planning a magic trick. I leaned closer without making a sound. Make sure you can see his face when I do it, she added, practically buzzing. I want to catch every expression. She's voice popped up next. She'd been glued to Mandy since high school. Oh my God. This is going to be hilarious. I stopped moving completely. My brain was still trying to connect the dots. Addie, her coworker, chimed in. My cousin did this with her boyfriend. He literally begged her on his knees in front of everyone. She made him promise a trip to Europe before she took him back. So, make sure you ask for something good as an ultimatum to get you back. See, it works, Mandy said with the kind of confidence you only hear from people about to ruin their own lives. Martin's gotten way too comfortable lately. He barely even tries anymore. When's the last time he surprised me with flowers or planned something big? I swear my blood went cold. They weren't just talking about me. They were plotting to use me as the main character in Mandy's circus act. Then Alice, the new friend from Mandy's yoga class, the one always pushing toxic empowerment quotes, asked, but what if he just agrees with you? What if he doesn't fight back? Mandy laughed in that dismissive way she did whenever she thought she was the smartest in the room. Trust me, no guy lets his girlfriend walk away in front of everyone without making a scene. His ego won't let him. Plus, Martin loves me way too much to just give up. They all giggled. She said something about recording it for Instagram. Addie suggested captions like, testing my boyfriend's love in public. And Alice threw in, this will probably go viral. I felt my jaw tighten. Viral. That was the prize, not fixing our relationship, not communication, just clout. Alice's voice got sharper, like she was the director of this twisted little play. Wait until the party gets going. Around 9, when everyone settled that way, the audience is perfect, sober enough to pay attention, tipsy enough to enjoy the drama. Perfect, Mandy said. And remember, back me up if he tries to flip it on me. Tell him any good boyfriend would fight harder. Really sell it. Oh, we've got you, Alice assured. He's going to scramble so hard. Men are so predictable when their security gets threatened. All men are pathetic like that. She snorted. And if he gets angry, even better. We'll make him look like the bad guy. I heard the sound of makeup bags zipping shut, the shuffle of heels. And then the door creaked. I slipped back into the kitchen, chairs in hand, acting like I'd been busy the whole time. When Mandy came bouncing up to me with that fake bright smile and planted a kiss on my cheek, all I could think was, "You really think I'm going to play your puppet tonight? Sorry I didn't help," she said like she hadn't just plotted my public execution. We got caught up getting ready. "No problem," I said calmly, studying her like she was a stranger. Her eyes were lit up with excitement, her friends exchanging smug little glances behind her. They thought they were about to pull off the prank of the year. I smiled back, but inside I was already building my counterattack. If Mandy wanted a performance tonight, she was going to get one, just not the one she scripted. That line kept looping in my head while I finished helping Owen set up. Balloons, snack tables, moving furniture, busy work that kept my hands moving while my brain replayed every word I'd overheard in that bathroom. They thought I was going to be their little puppet. They thought they had me figured out. Mandy especially. She floated around Owen's house like she was auditioning for Queen Bee of the Year. Every time someone new walked in, she had to make a scene. Big smile, loud laugh, arms wide like she was handing out blessings. Her minions trailed behind her, smirking, already glancing at me like the prank was a lock. I kept my cool, smiled, nodded, carried another chair. Inside, I was ice cold. At one point, Mandy leaned into she and said just loud enough for me and a few unlucky eavesdroppers to catch, "I already told some people I might be starting a new life tonight." Starting a new life. Like she was about to run off and join the circus. The entitlement in her voice almost made me laugh. She wasn't just planning a staged breakup anymore. She was previewing it, hyping it up like it was the main event. And people noticed. Guests who'd been to Owen's parties before kept sneaking looks between us. They weren't sure what was off, but they could feel it. That kind of energy spreads fast in a room, but the real gut punch was yet to come. About half an hour later, while Owen and I were messing with the speaker setup, I looked over and saw Mandy across the room. She wasn't with Gigi or Addie. She wasn't pretending to be interested in the decorations. She was leaned in close to some tall stranger I'd never seen before, hand on his arm, tossing her hair back like she was auditioning for a shampoo commercial, laughing too hard at whatever basic thing he said. It didn't take a genius to figure out what I was looking at. Nudged Owen with my elbow. "Who's that guy?" Owen squinted. I think he came with one of Addie's coworkers. Don't really know him." He shrugged. "Friend of a friend, right?" "Friend of a friend." Sure. That's when everything clicked. Mandy had already bragged to her girls earlier about maybe being single tonight. And now here was Tallboy conveniently hanging out in the middle of her spotlight. Coincidence? Please. She didn't just plan a breakup stunt for clout. She brought in a backup dancer. It hit me then. She wasn't testing me. She was replacing me. That little flirty laugh she gave him made my blood boil for about 2 seconds. Then I smiled to myself. If she wanted to line up her next move before the curtain even went up, that was her problem. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me jealous or insecure. She could dig her own grave and I'd happily hand her the shovel. The funny part, she kept sneaking glances at me while she was with him, like she wanted me to notice, like my reaction was part of the performance too. She really thought this was a stage and everyone was in her play. What she didn't realize was that the audience was already starting to smell something rotten. People were whispering, heads tilting, trying to piece together why Mandy was acting like she was both the host and the star of a reality show. One girl from my friend group walked past me and muttered, "What's up with Mandy tonight? She's acting weird." I just shrugged again. Guess we'll find out. Inside though, I was grinning. The more she hyped it up, the harder she was setting herself up for the fall. And with Tallboy hanging around, it wasn't just going to be humiliating, it was going to be brutal. By the time 8:30 rolled around, the house was packed. Music at the right volume, conversations buzzing, the food table nearly empty. Perfect conditions. Mandy had been floating around with her little entourage, positioning themselves like chess pieces on a board. Gigi was casually near the couch with her phone out, angled toward the center of the room. Addie had hers in selfie mode, but tilted just enough to record. Alice was pretending to chat with two random guests, but her eyes kept darting back toward me and Mandy like she was a referee waiting for kickoff. And then there was the backup guy standing tall, arms crossed, watching me like he already thought he'd won something. I caught his stare once, nodded politely, and went back to my drink. The look on his face told me everything. He thought Mandy was about to dump me, and he'd be the rebound hero. If only he knew. The stage was set, phones out, audience buzzing, Mandy dead center, waiting for her big scene. The difference was I wasn't her puppet. I was the guy holding the scissors, ready to cut all her strings at once. By 9 o'clock, you could feel it. Everyone sensed Mandy had something planned, even if they didn't know what. That smug confidence radiating off her wasn't subtle. Gigi and Addie had their phones angled like undercover paparazzi. Alice was posted up near the snack table, eyes locked on me like she was waiting for the first punch in a boxing match. Mandy stood in the middle of the living room, hands clasped in front of her like she was delivering a TED Talk. People slowly turned toward her, conversations fading. And then, in that fake, serious voice she must have practiced in the mirror, she started. "Martin, we need to talk," she announced. Her voice carried just enough to cut through the music. I could practically see the caption she was imagining in her head. "When you test your man's love in front of everyone." I set my drink down on the nearest table and looked at her calmly. "Sure. What's on your mind?" That wasn't in her script. She blinked for a second before regaining her composure. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she said, pausing like she wanted the whole room to lean in. "About us, and I don't think this is working anymore. You're not on my level." The room went dead silent. Even the music felt quieter, like the playlist knew this was her big scene. I saw she's phone tilt slightly, making sure to get both our faces in frame. I nodded slowly, like I was processing this heavy revelation for the first time. "You're absolutely right," I said evenly. Her face twitched. "What?" "You said it's not working anymore." "I believe you." Then I looked her dead in the eye. "Actually, do me a favor. Hand me the keys to my apartment. I'll pack your stuff and drop it off this weekend. No need for you to swing by." The color drained from her face. I kept my tone steady, calm, almost casual. "Enjoy the single life, Mandy." And with that, I turned and started walking toward the door. The silence was deafening. You could hear the bass line thumping in the background, but nobody said a word. Not a cough, not a shuffle, just pure shock. Behind me, Mandy's voice cracked. "Wait, what? That's it? You're just leaving?" I stopped halfway through the crowd and turned, making sure everyone could see how calm I was. "What did you expect? You just broke up with me." Her face dropped. The performance mask was slipping. "But don't you want to talk about this? Work things out." I tilted my head. "Work what out? You said you don't think this is working." "I respect that." T and Addie exchanged panicked glances. Their phones still out but lowered now. This wasn't the content they wanted. From the corner, someone muttered, "Dude, aren't you gonna fight for her? Try to change her mind." I looked toward the voice and smiled. "Fight for what exactly?" She made her choice. "I'm not going to beg someone to be with me who doesn't want to be. That's not love. That's desperation." A ripple went through the room. People whispering, nodding, some even smirking. You could feel the shift. Mandy's face turned red. She glanced desperately at her crew for backup. Gigi stepped forward, voice shaky. "Mandy, just tell him how you really feel." I raised an eyebrow. She did. She said it's not working and she's ending it. That's pretty clear. Addie jumped in, her tone shrill. "All couples go through rough patches. This is normal. You just need to try harder to make her happy. You're her boyfriend." "This isn't a rough patch," I said, my voice still calm but sharp enough to cut glass. "This is her staging a public breakup. That's not communication. That's manipulation." You could feel the discomfort spreading across the crowd. Guests were whispering things like, "What the hell is this? And who does that?" Mandy's panic finally cracked through. You're being so immature about this, Martin. I let out a short laugh. Immature for respecting your words instead of causing a scene. No, Mandy. Immature is needing a whole audience to validate your relationship decisions. That one hit. People murmured in agreement. Her friends looked like deer in headlights. Alice, the wannabe mastermind, made a last-ditch attempt. She just wanted to see if you cared enough to fight for her. That's all this was about. The room went silent again. Even the music felt like it had dropped a beat. I looked straight at Alice, then back at Mandy. So, let me get this straight. You broke up with me in front of everyone just to test if I'd beg you not to. That's what this was? Alice froze. Mandy's face drained of color. I smirked, leaned back slightly, and let my words drop like a hammer. Funny thing, I overheard you rehearsing this whole circus act in the bathroom earlier. The part where you'd surround the room, where she would film, where Addie wanted captions for Instagram. Ringing any bells? She's phone disappeared behind her back so fast it almost made me laugh. Too late. Everyone had seen it. The murmurs turned into full-on disgust. That's so messed up. Who even does that? Psychotic. Mandy's eyes welled up, but I didn't buy it for a second. She wasn't crying because she was sorry. She was crying because her little show got canceled mid-performance. I looked around the room at all the people watching and then back at Mandy. My voice was low but carried. The breakup you staged for entertainment, it's real now. And then I turned and walked straight to the door. Behind me, I heard Mandy's shaky voice crack again. Martin, wait, please. But I didn't stop. The only thing I felt was satisfaction. She wanted a performance. She just got the finale, and she was the only one who didn't know the script. The night air hit me as I pushed open Owen's front door. Cool, clean, quiet compared to the suffocating silence inside. I figured that was the end of it. She staged the play. I flipped the ending, curtain closed. But of course, Mandy wasn't done. Martin. Her heels clicked against the driveway like gunshots as she stormed after me. Gigi, Addie, and Alice trailed behind, whispering like backup dancers who suddenly forgot the routine. I stopped by the edge of the lawn and turned, hands in my pockets, calm as ever. She came charging up, face twisted with fury, not sadness. You made me look stupid in there, she hissed. You were supposed to fight for me. I raised an eyebrow. You break up with me in front of half our friends and I made you look stupid. Yes, she snapped, voice cracking. Any real man would have begged me to stay. You just walked away like you don't care. I almost laughed. So, let me get this straight. You humiliated me in front of everyone to test me and now you're mad I didn't perform to your script. I shook my head. Mandy, that's not how relationships work. That's how reality TV works. Her eyes flashed and for a second, I thought she might actually try to slap me. Instead, she tossed her hair and gestured toward the door like she had backup waiting. And right on cue, Tallboy swaggered out, the same guy she'd been leaning all over earlier. Maybe she just needed someone better than you, he said, stepping closer. His tone was casual, but his eyes were locked on me like he thought he'd already won. I smirked. Better. Huh? Bold talk for a guy whose only accomplishment tonight is being Plan B. The crowd that had followed outside chuckled. Mandy, embarrassed, doubled down. She wrapped her arm around Tallboy and said loudly, exactly. He is better in every way. Smarter, stronger, and unlike you, he actually fights for me. The smugness on her face was almost cartoonish. She thought this was her comeback moment. Then it happened. Better than who? A furious voice cut through the air. Every head turned as a brunette in jeans and a leather jacket marched up the driveway. Her eyes were locked on Tallboy like daggers. The color drained from his face. Amber, wait. No, she snapped, voice sharp enough to slice through concrete. Don't you wait me. I knew you were lying. You said you were going out with the guys, and I had a feeling something was off. So, I followed you and here you are snuggling up to her. She jabbed a finger at Mandy who froze mid-smirk. The driveway exploded with whispers. People were pulling out their phones again, not to film me this time, but to record this. Mandy recovered first, trying to plaster on some dignity. Excuse me, who even are you? Amber shot her a glare that could melt steel. His girlfriend, the one he's been with for 2 years. Who are you? The desperate side project? The crowd roared with laughter and gasps. Mandy's face went pale, then red. Tallboy stammered, holding his hands up. Amber, listen. It's not like that. Oh, it's exactly like that. She snapped, stepping closer. I caught you. You're done. Mandy turned on him, furious. You said you wanted me. He backed away, panicked. The whole scene collapsed into chaos. Mandy yelling at him. Amber yelling at both of them. Tallboy trying to talk over the noise. The party guests circled like sharks around Chum, eating up every second of the meltdown. Me? I just stood there, hands still in my pockets, watching the circus. I had no intention of joining. Mandy looked like she might actually collapse. Her grand performance had turned into an absolute train wreck. I decided that was my cue. You wanted a show, Mandy? I said, stepping back toward the street. Enjoy your new co-star. Then I turned and walked away. Behind me, the chaos kept raging. Mandy and Amber screaming over each other. Tallboy trying to salvage his dignity. Party guests recording the whole disaster. But I didn't care. I wasn't part of it anymore. By the time I reached my car, the shouting was fading into the distance. I slid into the driver's seat, started the engine, and drove off without looking back. Mandy wanted me on my knees. Instead, she ended up on a driveway fighting over a guy who couldn't even keep his lies straight while the whole world laughed. And me, I'd never felt freer. That night, I slept like a rock. No tossing, no wondering if I'd done the right thing. Just silence and the kind of peace you don't realize you've been missing until it finally shows up. By morning, my phone looked like it had been set on fire. Dozens of texts, missed calls, notifications from every corner of my social circle. At the top of the pile, Mandy. The progression was textbook. First, the apologies. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Please call me. Then came the bargaining. Let's just take a break. Not a breakup. I'll cut off she, Addie, and Alice for you. Then the anger. Wow. So, you're just gonna throw away everything like it was nothing? Cold. I didn't respond to a single one. Silence speaks louder than any words could. By noon, mutual friends started sending me screenshots. Turns out Mandy and her little crew had a group chat dedicated to mocking me before the party. Bets even. Gigi had put $20 on me, lasting less than 5 minutes before begging Mandy back. Addie said I'd definitely cry, and Alice claimed I'd end up promising Mandy a vacation just to keep her. Reading it didn't even sting. It just made me laugh. They really thought I was built like that. What did sting, though, was seeing a familiar name in the chat. Mark, a guy I'd considered a friend. He wasn't actively hyping it, but he knew. He knew the plan and never gave me a heads up. Didn't even try to pull me aside. Just sat back waiting for the fireworks. That's what burned. Because Mark wasn't just some acquaintance. This was a guy I'd bailed out more times than I could count. When his car broke down at 2 a.m. last winter, I drove across town in the freezing cold to jump his battery. When he was short on rent, I spotted him cash so he wouldn't get kicked out. Hell, I even covered for him at work once when he screwed up a project deadline, lying to our boss so he didn't take the heat. And here he was sitting in a group chat watching my girlfriend and her toxic friends plot to humiliate me. And he couldn't be bothered to shoot me a simple warning. Not a call, not a text, nothing. That's not just silence. That's betrayal dressed up as loyalty. I sent him one message. We're done. Lose my number. No explanation. He didn't deserve one. By the afternoon, Mandy shifted into damage control mode. I started hearing from people that she was spinning the story. Martin was distant. There was no spark. Martin stopped trying. She had no choice but to test him because he didn't appreciate her. Classic. Rewrite the script when the ending doesn't fit your fantasy. But then she got desperate. And desperation makes people stupid. Around 6 p.m., my phone buzzed again. A buddy of mine sent me a screenshot of Mandy's Instagram story. My face dropped when I opened it. Not from shock, but from pure disbelief at how idiotic it was. It was a picture of me in a dimly lit bar sitting close to some girl I didn't even recognize. Except it wasn't real. The lighting was all wrong. My hands looked like something out of a video game, and the girl's face had that plasticky blur you only see in cheap AI edits. Caption: funny how he says I embarrassed him, but he's been cheating this whole time. I actually laughed out loud. She really thought this was going to work. Within minutes, the comments rolled in. Girl, that's literally AI. Why's his ear melted? Mandy, please. This is embarrassing for you. This is why I hate AI. It enables delusional people. It backfired instantly. People weren't buying her victim act anymore. If anything, she just handed me more credibility. She went from manipulative to desperate to delusional in the span of 48 hours. By the next morning, the story was gone. Deleted like it never happened. But screenshots don't disappear, and everyone had them. Sunday afternoon, the knock came. I opened the door to find Mandy standing there, eyes swollen, holding a bag like she'd been camping out on my doorstep. She looked nothing like the girl who strutted around Owen's party like a queen. Martin, please, she whispered. I leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed. 5 minutes for what? To lie some more? To tell me that picture was real? Her face crumpled. I don't know why I did that. I was panicking. I didn't want people to think I was the bad guy. I shook my head. You didn't want people to think you were the bad guy, so you made a fake picture of me cheating. That's not panic, Mandy. That's insanity. She started crying harder. I messed up. Okay, I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes. I'll change. I let the silence hang for a beat. Then I said calmly, the trust is dead, Mandy. You killed it the second you turned our relationship into a performance. You buried it when you tried to frame me as a cheater. There's no fixing that. Her tears turned to anger in an instant. So that's it. 8 months together and you're just walking away. I met her glare without flinching. I'm not walking away, Mandy. I'm shutting the door you already slammed. The difference is I'm not reopening it. She stared at me trembling, searching for something to say that would turn it around. But there was nothing left, just silence. Finally, she dropped the bag at her feet. These are some of your things, she mumbled. I don't want them anymore. I nodded once. Good call. Then I closed the door. Through the peephole, I watched her stand there for a full minute, hoping maybe I'd open it again. When I didn't, she finally turned and walked away. I picked up the bag later. A couple shirts, an old hoodie, random junk. Felt like a metaphor. Just scraps left from something that used to matter, now reduced to trash at my door. That was the moment it hit me. I wasn't the one who lost anything. Mandy was, and she knew it. The funny part about messes like this, they don't stay private. People talk, screenshots fly, videos surface, and in 2025, once it's out there, you can't reel it back in. By Monday, my phone buzzed with a text from a coworker. Bro, check TikTok. I opened the link. My face stared back at me in grainy vertical video. Mandy's voice rang out. I don't think this is working anymore. The clip cut right after my response. You're absolutely right. Then ended. No context, no explanation. Just me looking cold, dismissive, heartless. The comments were brutal. Damn, he didn't even fight for her. He just got dumped like this. This is so embarrassing. Elma, he's definitely cheating. Look at how fast he bailed. And at the top, she's account name. Of course, Mandy's little entourage couldn't beat me in person, so they tried editing the narrative online. For about 12 hours, it worked. My phone lit up with random DMs, strangers clowning me, people I barely knew messaging, dude, what happened? Even a couple family members reached out. But then Owen stepped in. Tuesday morning, he posted the full uncut video. He'd grabbed the whole thing off his living room cam and stitched in clips. Everything from Mandy's big entrance speech to my calm responses to Alice's slip about it being a test to me exposing the bathroom rehearsal. All of it. His caption was brutal. Funny how context changes things. And within hours, the internet flipped hard. The same people who'd been mocking me were now roasting Mandy. She's clips started getting duet with Owen's. Side by side, the contrast made them look like fools. Comments tore into her. Why would you even post half the story? Lying by omission is still lying. By Wednesday, Mandy's whole crew was radioactive. Alice's boyfriend dumped her after seeing how deep she was in the scheme. People at Addie's office screenshotted her egging Mandy on and spread it around. Her boss actually had to pull her aside for professional conduct concerns. And she tried doubling down, saying, "It was just a joke. Everyone tests their partners." That earned her a week-long flame session across Instagram. The best part, I didn't lift a finger. The truth did all the work. Owen just gave it a megaphone. Mandy, though, she couldn't handle it. She went dark for a couple days. No posts, no stories, nothing. Then she came back with some dramatic black background text post. "Be careful who you trust. Not everyone has your best interest at heart." The comments ratioed her into oblivion. "Girl, you set this up. Stop blaming everyone else. Lol, you trusted she more than your own boyfriend." Even people who used to defend her stopped. She became the cautionary tale. The "don't be like Mandy" example people whispered about at brunches. She did try to reach out to me again. Long email paragraphs about how she realized now how toxic Gigi and Alice were, how she felt brainwashed by bad friends. She even claimed she'd cut them off completely. But here's the thing, even if she really did, it didn't matter. Cutting weeds doesn't unpoison the soil. I didn't reply. She didn't deserve closure. By the end of that week, the fallout had spread so wide it stopped being just about her. Friends of friends knew. Coworkers of coworkers knew. At one point, someone I barely recognized at the gym clapped me on the shoulder and said, "Respect, man." Most guys would have folded. I just nodded. No need to brag. My silence and composure spoke louder than anything. The final nail came 2 weeks later at another mutual friend's get-together. Mandy wasn't invited, but she showed up, trying to act like nothing had happened. The room froze when she walked in. Nobody laughed at her jokes. Nobody engaged her fake small talk. Eventually, she left early, humiliated in her own way. That was the true cost of their little test. It didn't just cost Mandy her relationship. It cost all of them their reputations. Meanwhile, I walked out of it with my head high, my dignity intact, and ironically, more respect from the same crowd that once laughed behind my back. It was poetic in a way. Mandy wanted a viral moment to prove her power. She got one, just not the kind she could ever recover from. The fallout spread like cracks in glass. Mandy went quiet online. She ghosted the entire friend group. Addie kept her head down at work, and Alice disappeared into the background like she'd never existed. Meanwhile, my life moved forward. Steady, calm. Better than it had been in years. 8 months later, I was seeing someone new. Claire, smart, grounded, funny in a way that didn't feel like a performance. She didn't care about entrances or stage drama. She cared about actual conversations. She respected boundaries. She made life feel simple again. No hidden scripts, no tests, no backup plans. Of course, Mandy found out. I don't know if someone told her or if she stalked her way through tagged photos. But one night, my phone lit up with her name again. I hadn't seen it in months. Against my better judgment, I opened the messages. It started calm enough. "So, you've already moved on. Then I knew you'd do this. I knew you'd cheat on me eventually. Then you probably planned this while we were still together. Admit it, cheat." The word made me laugh out loud. I typed back one line. "Cheat. We're not together. You ended that the night you staged a breakup for Instagram." The response came instantly. "You're lying. You were probably talking to her the whole time. No one moves on that fast unless they were planning it." I didn't bother explaining how life works when you cut toxicity out. People like Mandy don't want truth. They want fuel for their delusions. So I replied, "Get over it. You made your choice. I'm not your boyfriend. Haven't been for almost a year." That's when she cracked. The texts poured in. Walls of accusations, apologies, mid-sentence, anger flipping into begging, then back again. "I loved you more than anyone. You'll regret this when she cheats on you too. You owe me after everything I put into us. I was the best thing that ever happened to you." I didn't reply. I put my phone on the counter and kept cooking dinner with Claire. But Mandy wasn't done. The next day, she showed up at my apartment. I knew the knock before I even opened the door. She looked like a ghost of herself, hair messy, eyes wild, like she hadn't slept in days. "You replaced me," she said flatly. I crossed my arms. No, you replaced yourself when you tried to humiliate me in front of everyone we know. Her lip curled. She's not better than me. I smirked. Funny. She doesn't need to be better. She just needs to not be you. That one hit like a bullet. Her face twisted, and for a second, I thought she'd scream. Instead, she lunged into rapid-fire delusion. You knew you'd end up with her. Admit it. You probably wanted me gone so you could be with her. That's why you didn't fight for me. That's why you embarrassed me. I shook my head. You embarrassed yourself, Mandy. And now you're trying to rewrite history to make it my fault. That's not how this works. Her voice went shrill. You cheated. I know you did. I leaned against the door frame, calm as ever. Cheating requires being in a relationship. We haven't been in one since you made our breakup a spectator sport. You need to get over your delusions. She froze, shaking, hands balled into fists. I did it because I loved you, she whispered, voice breaking. I just wanted to know if you loved me enough to fight for me. I sighed. No, Mandy. You did it because you loved the control. You loved the drama. You loved the idea of people watching me crawl for you. That's not love. That's power. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but I didn't budge. I'd seen those tears before, and they weren't about regret. They were about losing control. Finally, I ended it. Go home, Mandy. Whatever you thought we had died months ago. I'm not the guy who plays games for your entertainment. Find someone else to run your experiments on. I closed the door before she could answer. Through the peephole, I watched her stand there trembling, then finally storm off down the hall. For the first time, she didn't look like the center of attention. She just looked small. That was the last time I saw her. Word around the circle was that she tried dating a few guys after me, but nothing stuck. Too many people knew her reputation. The test your man girl, the staged breakup girl, the one who faked AI photos to frame her ex-me. I kept living. Work was good. My circle got tighter. And Claire. She laughed when I told her the whole story one night. Her only comment was, anyone who thinks love needs testing doesn't understand it in the first place. Mandy thought she was testing my love. What she really tested was my self-respect, and I passed while she lost everything. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. Tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.